The birth of freedom for the people of British India came with a heavy and unprecedented price. The division of one India into two dominions of India and Pakistan led to a large-scale communal raids and massacres. The massive refugee crisis that ensued, the abduction of women and the burning and looting of refugee trains makes partition of 1947 one of the deadliest conflicts since the two world wars. Not only did it impact the South Asian landscape, but more significantly, the mindscape of a large population on both sides of the border was traumatized forever. It is but natural that the memories of partition would color the literature and popular culture in both India and Pakistan. So in today's video, I bring to you 5 must-watch films based on partition of British India in 1947. Much of the partition literature and partition historiography is based on the high politics of Congress-League dialogue, where partition is seen through the perspective of few important men. Our first two examples clearly stand within this category. An epic historical film, Gandhi, made in 1982, shows the life of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the leader of India's independence movement.
Just what are you doing in this car, Coolie?
I have a ticket. A first-class ticket.
How did you get hold of it?
I sent for it in the post. I'm an attorney and I didn't have time.
There are no colored attorneys in South Africa. Go and sit where you belong.
I'll take your luggage back, sir.
No. Just a moment, please. You see? Mohandas K. Gandhi, attorney at law. I'm on my way to Pretoria to conduct a case for an Indian trading firm.
Didn't you hear me? There are no colored attorneys in South Africa.
Sir, I was called to the bar in London and enrolled at the High Court of Chancery. I am, therefore, an attorney. And since I am, in your eyes, colored, I think we can deduce that there is at least one colored attorney in South Africa.
Smart bloody Kaffir. Throw him.
Just move your black ass back to third class, or I'll have you thrown over the next station.
But I always go first class. I've traveled all...
Written by John Briley and produced and directed by Richard Attenborough, the film stars Ben Kingsley in the lead role. The film takes us through the early years of Gandhi's life when he first becomes aware of the racial discrimination as practiced in South Africa in 1893, and follows Gandhi's personal and political development through these years until his assassination in 1948. Through one man's politics, the viewer gets to know the gradual growth of anti-colonial sentiment in India and the circumstances that led to partition and the subsequent riots. Whether you are a devout admirer of Gandhi or a complete stranger to his politics, with Ben Kingsley's magnetic and convincing performance, one is drawn to Gandhi's remarkable life and his contribution to Indian independence movement. At number 2, we have Jinnah.
Jinnah.
Written and directed by Jamil Dalvi, Jinnah, like Gandhi, focuses on the life of another important political figure during the Indian independence movement and who would later be known as the founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Unlike Gandhi though, the film focuses on the issues which stir up the need for a separate country for the Muslims of India. Played by Christopher Lee, Jinnah ultimately presents a long justification for the very need of a separate country for the Muslims. Apart from good performances by Christopher Lee, Shameen Shah, Shashi Kapoor and others, the film is a must-watch for one more reason. The film presents a supernatural situation where Jinnah, after his death, meets an angel who prepares the report of his activities on earth. Jinnah is left with one final chance to defend his decision to demand a separate political entity for the Indian Muslims. Using this supernatural element, the film succeeds in doing things which are beyond the parameters of realism. For example, the older Jinnah facing and arguing with his younger and politically more fierce self. The encounter and legal trial of the British officers who were prime decision makers in the partition and subsequent distribution of the resources. And finally, an encounter of Jinnah with millions of refugees who suffered due to the decisions made by a few political faces. The film, thus, apart from typical hagiography, also points to a possibility of dialogue and confrontation, a way of looking back at one's past to see one's errors and learn from them. What both Gandhi and Jinnah have in common for me is the danger of reducing complex history into grand and palatable narratives of heroism.
हर घर में चिता जलती थी, लहराते थे शोले, हर शहर में शमशान वहां भी था यहाँ भी। गीता की कोई सुनता न कुरान की सुनता, हैरान सा ईमान वहां भी था यहाँ भी।
आज किसे छोड़ा है मियां?
बड़ी बहन को। बहनोई साहब तो पहले ही कराची जा चुके थे, आज उनके बाल बच्चे भी चले गए। ये उम्र वतन छोड़कर जाने की नहीं, इस दुनिया से उस दुनिया में जाने की।
You are wasting your time in this country. आप पाकिस्तान क्यों नहीं चले जाते?
जो भागे हैं, उनकी सजा उन्हें क्यों दी जाए जो न भागे हैं और न भागना चाहते हैं?
हमें हिंदुस्तान से भागना नहीं, बल्कि हिंदुस्तान में रहकर आम आदमी के कांधे से कांधा मिलाकर अपनी मांगों के लिए लड़ना चाहिए।
मैं भी अकेली जिंदगी की घुटन से तंग आ गया।
Based on Ismat Chughai's short story, Garam Hawa is written by Kafi Azmi and Shamazadi. By showing the way the lives of one particular Mirza family changes forever due to partition, the film presents a clairvoyant and disturbing sketch of the gloomy future of the Muslims left behind in India after partition. This becomes vivid through Salim's character. Salim, played by the legendary actor Balraj Sahni, runs a shoe business and despite all odds has faith in Allah. He strongly believes that those who wish to stay in India after partition must not be punished for the ones who left it. The film takes us through different socio-economic turmoils Salim and his other family members go through. Indeed, in many ways, the film draws our attention away from the blood and gore of the partition riots and shows a long-term social and cultural tabooing of a certain strata of society, in this case, the Indian Muslims. Made in 1973, Garam Hawa can be called a timeless classic about partition for two reasons. Firstly, the harsh realities of partition are made vivid through the innocent perspective of Salim, who has faith in God but lacks the critical judgment about circumstances. At the same time, Salim sets the prototype of the many Muslims who chose to live in India and were ready to face the consequences of this choice. Secondly, although made almost 5 decades ago, one might say that the film succeeds in showing the haunting legacy of partition on the lives of the generations after by showing the tensions and the systematic discrimination against the Muslims after partition. On number 4, we have 1994 film Mamu.
सीधी तरह चलती है या हाथ में हथकड़ी डालूं?
चलो चलो टाइम नहीं है और 2 लोगों को पकड़ना है। चलो जल्दी।
अरे नहीं, के कपड़ों में ले आए। कहाँ जा रहे हो? कपड़ों नहीं। ये घर तुम्हारा नहीं है, तुम मेहमान हो इस घर की।
मेहमान हूँ?
हाँ।
अपनी सगी बहन के घर में मैं मेहमान हूँ? अच्छा, जिनका अपना घर नहीं होता, उनका तो कोई घर ही नहीं होता।
कोई नया बहाना नहीं मिलता तुम लोग को?
3 महीने का वीजा बढ़ा दो साहब।
25 दिन के ऊपर का तो कानून ही नहीं है।
मैं तुम्हें खूब समझती हूँ, तुम्हारी रग रग पहचानती हूँ। जब से इस घर में आई हो ना, तुमने जीना हराम कर लिया है। पूरे घर पे कब्जा करके बैठ गई हो और मेरे नवासे पे डोरा डाल रही हो। है?
मैं वापस नहीं जाऊंगी। इस दफे कोई माई का लाल महमूदा बेगम को हथकड़ी लगाकर सरहद पार नहीं कराएगा।
Directed by Shyam Benegal and written by Shamazadi, Khalid Muhammad, Javed Siddiqui, Mamu stars Farida Jalal in the title role. Surekha Sikri as her elder sister, and Amit Palke as their grandson. Narrated through the perspective of 13-year-old Riaz, the story revolves around the character of Mamu. In the post-partition world, as a Muslim, Mamu became a Pakistani after partition. However, after her husband's death and being childless, she is thrown out of her property and is forced to find refuge in her sister's house in India. Her desire to stay with his sister and her grandson, despite a Pakistani nationality, remains at odds with the policies of the two countries. The film shows Mamu juggling through the official procedures and adamant at finding home, even at the cost of sacrificing her identity. If I were to say that Mamu is the La Vita La Bella of partition films, it would not be wrong, as Mamu's personality seems to bring a certain lightness to the otherwise tragic consequences of partition. Great credit goes to Farida Jalal for bringing to life Mamu's character. Apart from the fact that Mamu tells the story of the way people's lives after partition are still entangled and limited by the history of partition, the film is worth watching for the deep commitment to communicate one woman's suffering and her struggles to find home. Now, what should I say about this last one, which is worth watching for multiple reasons? To name a few, the story comes straight from none other than one of Pakistan's greatest Anglophone novelists, Bapsi Sidhwa, with the great direction of Deepa Mehta and the stellar performances by Nandita Das and Amir Khan. Exactly. Based on the novel Ice Candy Man and made in 1998, we are talking about Earth.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
Mommy, can one break a country? No one's going to break India. Did you hear this?
The division of India is imminent. Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs will jockey for power. Wait and see. We will settle our differences ourselves.
What happens when a 9-year-old Parsi girl, Lenny, finds herself in a grown-up's world with partition just around the corner? Through her caretaker, Aya, played wonderfully well by Nandita Das, Lenny witnesses the rising communal tensions among people of different religious backgrounds. Despite the fact that the film as well as the novel is known for its projection of partition from a child's perspective and shows the suffering of millions of women across the border, the most enticing feature of the film is the development of the child through historical events, the formation of her identity and her relation with an oppressive and patriarchal society. Avoiding mere sensationalism at all levels, the film provides great insight into the political climate just before partition and right after it. Another feature for which the film captures the eyeballs is its depiction of the historical city of Lahore, the kite flying festival, the narrow lanes of the old city, the traditional households, all make it a fascinating rendezvous with the bygone times of Lahore. Of course, there are many other interesting films about partition, like the ones listed here. But for now, I would leave you with these 5. We'll be back with another interesting video. Meanwhile, thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and feel free to subscribe to our channel.